going down to do a bit of fencing. What kind of fencing? I'm destroying some fencing at the same time as I'm fencing. So, I gotta try and avoid the wet patches in the field. What a flipping spring we have had, eh? I mean, I don't film all the time, you know, I don't do daily videos, and so you get my sort of videos when I feel like doing them, really. So you haven't seen me dealing with the rain. Flipping heck. 1 minute it's dry, the next is wet, and the fields just haven't really dried out yet. I'm just driving over here now, and I can see the wet patches there, the mud. The cattle have been grazing, but I haven't brought them back in, but the cattle have been grazing, and they've been chewing up the ground behind them. Thankfully not too bad, but crikey, you know, we're into May now, mid-May, it shouldn't be like that. Anyway, that's enough of moaning. I do like a good moan. A middle-aged man likes a moan. Anyway, right, let's get out and have a look at this, because we are taking down the fencing around this tree. This beautiful oak tree. I always, you know, do you do this for your kids? When I go for a walk with my kids anywhere in the countryside, they hate it, because I keep pulling leaves off the trees and saying, what tree's that? And then they randomly go, oh, sycamore, oak, beech, and they eventually get it right. And I kind of feel like it's my job to teach them that skill, because I would really hope that they can do what I can do, and that is to be able to identify a tree from looking at its bark, or the actual grain of the wood, or the leaves. And that's purely from a lifetime of being exposed to that sort of information from my parents, really. So anyway, I'm rambling on, but you like a ramble with me, don't you? Funky Farmer rambles, right? See, let's talk about this oak tree. Can you see that? How cool is that? Look, I'm framed with its branches. Right. I planted that with my dad probably 20 years ago. We bought that when it was a little sapling. I could put my hand around it. And I remember we bought it. I don't know quite why we didn't bring it down the Land Road, but I remember bringing it down with my dad across this field, sort of dragging it along. It was quite heavy, I think, so it had a root ball on it in some soil. Or we carried it down. We brought it down by hand. We put it here. So probably 20 years ago, look. And now look at it. It is 100% awesome. Look, it's just interesting, look. Oak trees, they have these little catkins on. Let's have a look. Can you see that? In amongst there's the sort of little catkins. You can just see the oak leaves as well. They're tiny, tiny little leaves, aren't they? Look. They've still got the shape of an oak leaf. Tiny, tiny. Anyway, so when we planted it, it was, well, I remember that the top of it was about the height of there, so it was a reasonable size. We didn't put in a little tiny thing. I always think if you're planting trees, you're better off planting them a bit bigger, because you gain yourself so many years. The only thing is you go too big and there's a problem with the roots getting in, and whether you've got to water them a lot and whether they'll actually take. So you kind of like, it's a happy medium between too small and they'll probably get attacked by animals, or will take a long time to grow. Too big, like you see on these housing estates where they put trees in, they put in these semi-mature trees and then they bugger off, never water them, and they're all dead within 6 months. Anyway, this tree here, I've done phenomenally well. Look at the trunk on it, look. Nelly the elephant packed the trunk and said goodbye to the circus. Look how that was the post it was tied to. Look how it's pushed it out. Isn't that cool? And that is rock hard in there. Right, so we fenced it, me and Dad, 20 years ago, look, round here. And that was to stop the cattle eating it. And you can see that doesn't need any fencing now, does it? So I'm going to take this down. I mean, look at it. It won't take much. Look. It's pretty well had it, isn't it? So I'm just going to, look, that's rotted off. I think it's just the nails it's just being held up. And then what I've got to do, this post here is dodgy as well. Look, that one's rotted off. So I'm going to have to whack that out and dig that out, put a post in. I got some posts in there, in the Land Rover. I don't film even a fifth of the stuff I do on the farm doesn't get onto camera. It's just you know, I got a day job to do and I can't be filming all the time. So I was down here the other day changing all these stakes here. Look, these are all new creosoted posts. Put in, originally this was all oak posts along here when I was a kid. There's one left there that's still quite good. And then what we did, we replaced the oak posts with these just tannalised posts, which are green tannalised, and they flipping, well, anyone who knows anything about posts know that this new modern sort of treatment for timber just isn't as good as the old stuff. They used to put some sort of arsenic compound into the stakes, and it was banned a few years back, and the new stuff doesn't last. So as you probably know, if you've been following me a while, I've now switched to all creosote. I'm not messing around. I just like go into all creosote. The lifespan of a creosote is pretty damn good. Some of it, I think, I had 25 to 40 years on it. So I'm putting them in now here, and I am flipping lucky. I tell you what, you Irish boys, when we come and see you in September, I wasn't joking about smuggling some creosote posts over to you, because you probably need them. Because if you're in Europe, creosoted posts and fencing stakes and stuff have been banned from April this year. So the UK, I'm not saying that Brexit was good, but we are lucky because Brexit means that we can still have creosoted posts, and they last a lot longer than anything else I can deal with. So yeah, I'm putting creosoted posts in. Let's have a look at this. There they are. I've got them in the back of here as well. There's the old wooden ones. Look at this. Look. That's what happens. Look. Whoop. Totally gone. Look at the state of that. And that's where the water gets in at the level with the ground. They always rot off. Look, you see that top bit? Absolutely fine. In fact, if it was longer, you could turn it upside down and reuse that. They don't rot out at the top. It's where the water gets in at the ground level on just that line there. So the creosote should repel the water and keep them from rotting in the same speed. Right, I'm going to take this down in a minute. But I just want to talk to you about the landscape really here, because it's all man-made, this landscape. You can't say this is natural. If I look around me, let me just turn around, we'll talk about it. So this field here, man-made. Nature doesn't make square things. So fence here, but obviously losing my words, a hedge all the way around, all in line, straight lines. Look. There used to be a hedge down the middle. My dad took it out in the 1980s, which was probably not a great idea because it would have been better for running the cattle down there. Anyway, as you can see on the horizon there, I'm just going to zoom down. You can see these trees. I'll tell you the story. That tree there was given to my dad when he'd done 15 years on Titherington Parish Council. That tree there was given to my mum when she retired from the parish council after her doing a stint after my dad. That tree there was given to me by someone up in the village to plant down here. They grown it in a pot. And then coming round, that's a lime tree there. Coming up, here's another oak over there. There's a crab apple. That's an oak. Lime. Another lime there. There's plenty of trees around there. There's a chestnut there. Those are all planted in the last 20 years, and they've all been planted because we've lost so many trees on this farm from Dutch elm disease. I just about remember my dad cutting the trees down in the 70s, and my dad, really fair play to him, didn't think, oh well, we won't worry about that, we'll just have hedgerows. He thought like I think a farm without trees is just a farm without soul. You know, look at that hedge behind me. Those little trees behind me will be massive one day, and the character they bring to the farm and the wildlife and everything, it's just, you got to have trees on a farm. I despair actually when I do see some farms that are just hedges trimmed right down to that height. No offence to you if that's your farm, but to me, put some of this in. Give yourself a bit of character and make the countryside better. And on that note, before I ramble on a bit more, I'm going to tell you this now. I'm 40 years of farming next year. Left school at 16 to work here. 40 years of farming. I am going to be giving 40 trees away. Hopefully to farmers around the UK. I'll talk about that next year, but that's a heads up. I'm going to try and help help make this landscape better for everyone. So around the UK I will do a sort of giveaway thing. I haven't worked out logistics and all I'm going to do it, but I thought, what can I do to celebrate 40? So we're going to try and help nature and some farmers who maybe don't want to spend the money on trees but would like to have one. We'll work that one out anyway nearer the time. But anyway, right, let's get this down. Let's crack on with that. I'm going to get the old sledgehammer out or something, I think. Look at that, the Old Faithful here. Pretty well easy, isn't it? Hammer and a sledgehammer. It's not a sledgehammer, is it? It's a crowbar, isn't it? Hammer and a crowbar. Did it fairly solid in 1980. Not 1980, was it? In 2000, probably about the year 2000. Look, I got this too low, haven't I? You just got the top of my head, bottom of my head. Oh, come on. I tell you, it's more solid than I thought it would be. I thought they'd just ping off. Oh. Timber! Told you it's rotten. Come on. Oh. Da-da, da-da-da-da. Didn't take long, did it? Look at the state of it. Look at the state of that. That is knackered. Look, it's gone like paper. Look at that. But look, I said, the top of it, not bad. So I think I can these rails here, look, they're still solid. That one's all right. I can reuse that one. That one's all right. A bit rotten in the middle there. Some of these definitely had it. Treading carefully, not standing on the nails. Now I got to get this one out. Look, don't know whether that one's all right. I replaced that last year. These are creosoted, so that one's okay. These are all right. This one. What's that one like? That one seems all right. It's just this one here, isn't it? It's amazing. The oak. Oh look, look. Look at that. Can you see that? A walnut. A walnut shell. Can I get that out of there? That's Mr. Squirrel. That is. That's wedged right in there. I wonder if I can get my knife under it. Let's get that out of there. Look, there it is. So there you go, there's an example of the benefits of planting a tree, and that is probably put in there either by a crow or a squirrel. Not put in there, dropped in there, probably been trying to break it open. You can just see it there. From the walnut trees up there that my dad planted, 1, 2, and then there's a third one there. My dad planted those 30 odd years ago. I can remember my dad having those in pots and growing them to a decent size and then putting them out here and fencing them. And I took the fencing down a few years ago because they got big enough, but he grew them in pots. Dad always loved walnuts. Right, so this oak post is coming out. It is, again, look at it. That has got to be minimum 50 years old. I don't put oak posts in now because they're too expensive, but get that off there. I bet you it'll just flop down, right? I'm just going to take that off a minute, all right? Look at it. This is a good bit of kit. I think I got it from Screwfix, called Roughneck. I used to use a punch to get these staples out, and now what I do, well, you'll see in a minute, get that bit behind the staple, tap that in, and you can lever it out. And it's also, you can use it as a hammer as well, and it's got a claw bit on it there. Can you see that? So you can lever stuff out. Hell of a, I saw a contractor who fenced the lagoon had one of these, and I thought, I'll have that, I'll buy one of those. So I got one, and it's really handy. There you go, top tip. No product placement there, it's just a good bit of kit. Right, let's go and get this staple out a minute. There you go, staple out, job done. And there she blows, look. Look, there's the hole. Not much sign of a post in there, is there? Let's pull it through. Look at it. Completely gone. Look at that. Rotted right through. In fact, the woodlice are having a field day, look. That is... I can break that up. Look at that. It is always amazing how that can be so rotten and soft, and yet this is still like concrete. And a bit of farming, farmer history on our farmhouse. So I'm in the shade here, you can see me. When I was a kid, my dad had to plate all the beams in the farmhouse because the beams had done exactly that. The beams that were going into the wall, which got the rain on the south side, because the wind blows the rain onto the south side, onto the front of the farmhouse. All the beams that had been in the wall for 400 years had rotted like that. So my dad had to put steel plates underneath them to pin them into the, well, my dad didn't do it, a builder did it. But we had to acro prop the beams. And then I think we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 propped beams in that farmhouse that I know of, where the wet had got in. So it's not just gate posts that have a problem, or fencing posts, it's the flipping houses as well with old oak beams or elm beams, I think they are. Right, let's get this. I'm going to dig that hole out. That's got to come out there. Got myself my my replacement. I mean, to be honest, that won't take a lot of digging out really, because I think what's in the ground there is probably rotted to virtually mush. I'll tell you what, I might have invested in a new fertiliser spreader the other day if you watched that video, but what I do need to invest in now is a new spade. Look at this. This spade, it's got to be 50 years old at least. It's been here on the farm my entire life on the farm, but I'm pretty sure it was probably about 6 inches longer when I was a young lad. The handle's got a bit dodgy as well. It's really good though, because it's sharpened to a really good point on it. And but I do need to buy a new spade for the farm, because when you dig a hole like I'm going to do now, there isn't much depth to dig with. It's more like a little trenching shovel now, or spade. You don't notice things wearing down until one day you wake up and you go, oh, hang on, that's very short now, isn't it? Didn't used to be like that. Funny life, isn't it? We all wear down in the end, don't we? Including the spades and the people. Right, let's get this hole dug out. Blimey, that way in super easy. I do, it's interesting, right? I always find everything interesting, don't I? It's not interesting to everyone, is it? That way in so easy, and there's got to be 3 reasons for that. Firstly, I am blooming lucky that on this farm we have this lovely soil. Lovely, it's really nice sort of sandy loam, especially this top bit. It's a bit clayey down the bottom, but this is lovely soil. Secondly, because we've had so much rain, it's really easy digging. If you're going to do fencing, really springtime's the best time to do it because the ground's so soft. And thirdly, where that post was, it's rotted out, and what's left in the hole is just mush. So actually that came out really well. So I'm just going to put a bar hole in and I'm going to whack that post in then, and then I'm going to get the tractor to pick up all these rails, because there's no point leaving them down here. The cows will stand on the nails, aren't they? Right, let's get this in. Oh, that is really soft. The bar's just disappeared into the ground. I think if you're in Australia, you might look up and see a bar coming down through the sky. That's how it works, isn't it? Right. I'll put my gloves on because this creosote stuff does tend to burn a bit. I'm just gonna put that in the hole. Right, tap that in and then we're jobs are good un. Probably ought to just shovel the dirt in first. Be back in a minute, just shoveling. Actually not enough dirt for the hole, because obviously that wooden stake rotted off and then left sort of a bit of a gap really, so I'm just going to dig that out. I'll have to firm it up a bit afterwards with a bit of soil from somewhere else, I think. We'll just get the nails in. There's a bit of a dilemma always, I never know what size nails to use. 6-inch too big, sometimes a 5 is too big, and I got like a 4-inch nail. Still imperial, look. I don't know what that is in metric on a 5-inch, but if you go and ask for nails, you usually come in 5 or 6-inch. 5-inch is probably about right for these. The rails are looking a bit split now, but I think they'll be fine. So I got one nail that's still there. I can tap that one in. And this has gone on a gimp a bit, but never mind. Right, where's my hammer? Oh, where's my hammer? What have you done with it? Do you ever get that feeling where you put... Oh, right, straight hiding in plain daylight. There it is. Right. That's the rail with a nail already in it. There you go. Right, so let me just sort these rest of these out. There we go. I just chucked a bit of extra dirt around that post. This is pretty good now. Okay, it's a little bit wobbly at the moment, but then it's because it takes a while for the kind of ground to settle in around the post. It's not because it's rotten. These are all a bit like that along here. Look, these have settled in. When you first put them in, obviously the ground's loosened up. I've been along here this morning. I went along and just checked everything. I don't think I've got one single post now that's rotted off. I've changed, I think I've changed 8 along here this week. That were just, all the fencing basically was being held, the rails were holding the posts up, and they were all off. So eventually what would happen is the car would push against them to get to the grass the other side, and then all the fence would go. That's what happened last year. I didn't video that. You can't always video your disasters, but everyone wants to see the disasters, don't they? But you can't always video that because you're in the middle of a crisis. The last thing you need to do is whip out a camcorder. And fair play to Tom Pemberton. If you go and look at his videos, he's just done a vid where he did actually manage to record what was going on. He got some cattle stuck in the muck in a shed. Oh my God, what a nightmare for this poor chap. He got them out though, fair play, and it's all on camera. So if you go and look at Tom Pemberton's Facebook page, not YouTube channel, you can see that. So I'm just finishing up here now, look. So I got, do you think I'll take that one out? That ain't coming out. That's almost like a posterity. I haven't got a chopper. Oh, I got a saw. That needs to come off, tidy that bit up. I'll take that off in a minute. I'll tidy this up. Now this is good, but the only thing I can see now, the issue I might have, is that the cows will all, when it gets really hot or wet, the cows will come and rest under here. Now the problem with that gap there is that they're probably going to go through there, and maybe they'll push against the fence a little bit, and that could be the weakest link. That could be where they knock it down. But I can't worry about everything like that. It needed to come out. It needed to not be fenced anymore. It's pointless. Right, so I'm going to tidy up, saw that off, and then I'm going to be going to go and get the tractor and pick all this up. Ding, 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 ding. Let's go sawing. Ding, 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 ding. Oh, there's that one as well. Let's just make this a tidy job. There we go. That's better, isn't it? That heal over nicely, and those don't need to be there. They can just, well, they can just stay there. That's a bit of brushwood there. So let's just tidy up, go and get the tractor. Right, go and get a tractor, we'll tidy this wood up. There we go, job's a good one, tied it up. Tree! So, I'm heading back now, I'm going to put this on the wood pile. I just thought, this is a video, I like doing videos like this. You probably noticed. Let me climb in. I've been vlogging for now, for what? Let me guess now. 2011 I think I started really doing YouTube videos. Long before all these other vloggers came along and were doing kind of like life on their farm. You know, I was pretty well there before everyone else, and I've never done this for money or for to be recognised or anything like that. I did it because I like doing video. I always have. I did video in the 80s and on a camcorder, holding it like that with a backpack and everything like that. And since I've been doing these vids, I've always stayed to what I believe in, and so this video is kind of like that really. I've just done a video about this tree and the landscape. Now I realise, it's funny, I know what works on YouTube. If I did a video about a tractor, let's say this tractor servicing it, and let's look at the dashboard, blah blah blah. People are more interested in that than anything like a tree and an oak tree in a field. But I like to carry on doing that kind of off-centre stuff, really. So you're gonna, if you watch me, you won't get the latest farm machinery apart from the odd bit of new purchasing. You'll get a little bit of rambling about my farmhouse, about this beautiful tree in the landscape, and that's what I like. So you can, as we walk and drive up, you can just see behind me there, over my shoulder, that lovely scenery and the trees in it, and that's what I like. So anyway, let's go on up. Gonna dump this. Everywhere on this farm you should be able to see trees. I can't imagine what it's like to work on fields with no trees in them. Everywhere you look there'll be trees. I haven't got as many as some and I haven't got as little as some, but every hedgerow has got a tree in it. And that's a deliberate policy on my part and my father's, is that there will not be a single hedgerow on this farm without at least 1 or 2 trees in it. There we go. There's the moors. Alright, moors. How are we doing? They're looking good, aren't they? I think they're looking pretty good for, they haven't been out that long. Look at that one, get off the muck pile. I would have had that muck pile all on the maize field if the weather had been decent. But in the end, the weather beat me really. It was too wet to come out here with a loader and try and load that. I mean, it's still wet. I'm leaving ruts over this now. I'm gonna have to get out and roll this field at some point. So if I started taking out loads of muck on here, I would have churned all this up. So in the end, it stayed. So it won't matter because, to be honest, it'll rot down even more in the next year. I might put some out in the autumn. I've got to add to it from the stuff from the sheds. But it'll rot down, it'll become even more nutritious because any bits of straw in it will completely go. And then you'll end up with it's pretty well rocket fuel now. Old Tosh from the allotment wants some more. Do you remember him? He came out a while ago. He wants a second batch, which I said is okay. I'm hoping he'll, in return, return the favour and let me come down and see his allotment. And there's the cows there, look. Right, let's get to this wood pile and I'll just chuck this off and then we're done. Cracking on. Look at that view. Look at that view. Oi! Get out of the way. Get out of the way. Come on. Someone will be watching this video going, oh God, he needs to clean his tractor. There's usually someone moaning about the state of my tractors, the lack of modern machinery, something. There is always someone on YouTube who has to criticise. They can't help themselves. It gives you a thick skin, but I don't like it. It does upset me sometimes. Sometimes I just block people if they're going to give me a load of grief. It's not worth it. Right, let's get to the wood pile. Look at this, it's like an abandoned graveyard of old rotten stakes. Look at it. Some of that's actually tree branches from years ago. This isn't though. Look at this is car crash. Look at that. Gate posts, another little latching post, all the same, rotted off at the bottom. Bit of elm there for firewood. There's a big oak gate post there. Rotted, well, it's not actually rotted off, but it was just like, well, it's given up the top of it. The gate iron pretty well gone through. You can just look at the state of that gate iron. So that's a bit of a car crash. I was just saying, I don't video everything. We've changed 2 new gates, fitted some wooden gates along the road. Didn't video any of that. One of the owners accused me of being lazy the other day because my tractor was dirty or something. It was like, Jesus Christ, you've got no idea what I do all day. If you think I'm lazy, you're on a different planet. Anyway, right, so I just got to chuck this off and then we're done. There we go, that's all the junky bits off. I'm gonna have to have a big burn up at some point because that pile there is just ridiculous. It started out as a few stakes. Let me just take this off here. It started out as a few stakes and it's turned into this flipping, look, massive pile. And what am I keeping them for? I'm not gonna put them on the fire because I've got enough decent firewood without that. So I'm gonna just chuck them on a bonfire at some point. Anyway, I'll just flip over. I'm not gonna go out in the orchard, but you can just see. Look, here we are now. Spring is really coming now. Look at this. Look at that apple blossom. Isn't that gorgeous? Look at that. And the cows are out. Look, horse chestnut's just coming out. I knew that tree when it was a conker because I planted it. Look at that. The oilseed rape down there. And the lime trees, the cows grazing. And you're still walking on that ground, still a bit wet, isn't it? Look, you can tell by the way she's walking, that's wet there. There you go, guys. Anyway, it's a good day in spring. Crack on, everyone. More trees coming. Stay tuned for next year's big announcement.